morning, ladies and gentlemen. How nice of you to join us today. My guest is one of my favorite human beings on earth, and that's Joel Raynes.
Hi.
I'm going to talk a little bit about him, And Joel describes, I like some of the things that he says. Joel's from his website, my business is building relationships and helping real estate dreams come true. Others describe him as being able to see the big picture without losing the details. And above everything else is kindness. A lifelong resident of Chicago, Joel knows the marketplace inside and out. Many of Joel's clients consider him to be their trusted realtor for life, which is the goal of should be and is the goal of most realtors. Every day, Joel naturally seeks to build new relationships with people. Joel is I want to finish this before I tell you who Joel is for me. Here are some of the testimonials he's got. A perfect description of Joel must include descriptive positives such as attentive, creative, and keeping us informed as the sale moved forward. His friendly demeanor and good nature were especially helpful when some issues were brought to light. I like this one too. Joel is a gentleman and a professional. People wrote nice things about you.
That's very sweet.
Joel comes better than advertised. I love that one. We were given Joel's information through a mutual friend of his niece. We moved from New Jersey to Chicago, having only ever visited once before. Joel could not have been more accommodating, understanding of our situation. He went above and beyond and was able to FaceTime from open houses to us to allow us to stay in New Jersey when travel was not possible. He was thorough and thoughtful with every house we saw, and in the end, we ended up buying a house in a neighborhood we would have never imagined that we could live in. All right, and this is me. This is how I describe Joel to everyone. Joel is I got a guy. So if there's something you need or somebody you need to know or something needs to happen, my first phone call always is to Joel. Joel, you are a successful realtor, and before we start talking about some of the other stuff, I'm going to switch this around a little bit. Tell me about your first year in real estate.
My first year in real estate was, I had no idea what I was doing. I just looked at all the people in my office and looked at the people that I thought were busy and what they were doing. And I go, I'm going to do the same thing. The best thing I did, which I didn't know at the time was the best thing, was I tend to ask a ton of questions. I ask questions of my buyers. I ask questions of my sellers. I ask questions of my mentors. I ask questions of people I know about something. I want to learn all the time. And I would ask a question, couldn't get an answer. And usually when I can't get an answer, the question should be, or the answer should be, I don't know the answer, but let me find out and I'll get back to you. That would be satisfied for me, but it wasn't. I didn't get that, so I decided I was going to find the answer. And I started networking with all these people I knew at other offices, and I heard about a situation that one office had a drop-in on Friday. No topics, just drop in. Come in and there will be a group of people and someone will bring up a subject, and that's how conversation started. I learned an unbelievable amount of stuff, and things that I learned at that session, I still do today. So things like, yes, everything is computerized, etc. I'm old school. I tend to do things on paper. I like to hold paper. I like to feel the paper. I like to look at the names. I like to ask questions when someone signs in. If I can't read it, I say it's me. It's not them. I can't read this. Could you please tell me how to write your name or how to spell your name so I can write it down? And I write notes to myself or little symbols on that, which tells me something. And this open house sheet, per se, I've been using it pretty much since like my second year. So.
Okay. I have had interviews with several successful realtors, and a couple of them have had what I call defining moments. It's the moment they knew they were going to leave their past life behind and start a new life. Some realtors know, some kind of fell into it and just have been slogging along. But a couple of them have had okay, I'm done with that. I'm going to do this now. Do you have a defining moment?
Yeah. Well, I have a way of it. Let me answer it differently.
Okay.
I got into real estate sort of by mistake. It wasn't like I was planning it. My mom died, and she had a condo in one of the suburbs, and her condo building doesn't allow any rentals. And prior to being a realtor, I was a banker. And so for me, I'm very visual about everything. And so myself and my sister ended up owning this apartment. And I became Monty Hall with my sister as far as saying, I got a great deal for you. You don't have to pay me anything. You could take care of this apartment. I'm through with it. You could sell it whenever you choose. And whatever you sell it for, I'll take 50% of the proceeds. But you'll pay all the assessments. You'll do everything. And she's like, no, I don't want it. But you want to keep it. I don't understand that. So we went through this whole thing. And ultimately, I said, so you got to look at it from how I look at it. You go into a bank, you go to a teller, they have a cash drawer. I have the cash drawer out every day. And everyone's grabbing money out of it for different things. The assessments, taxes, etc. I got nothing for it. I have no benefit. We need to sell. And being visual, that's how it's. So pretty much that's how I got my aha moment was I kept on telling my managing broker, I've been a banker too long. I really need to go back into banking. I like this, but I need to do that. And my aha moment happened when I got offered an incredible job in banking. Probably one of the best jobs I could have ever wanted. And I told the person, I'm not interested. I love what I'm doing. I love everything about it. I like helping people. I like building relationships. And I think that was my aha moment.
It's an aha moment. It's when you turn down the good job.
When I turned down it was really lots more money than I ever thought I was ever going to get. Probably more money than I would have ever made in my mind in real estate, but it was still and that was not true. But I didn't know that at the time. But it was really a situation where I was like, oh, this is like the greatest thing that I could be doing because I feel like I'm helping people. So.
And Joel, I've known you for a while now, and you've been one of the pleasures of working here that I know you. When you started, you were really just doing real estate. That's what you were doing. You were helping people, so helping to do that. But somewhere, a little bit pre-COVID, you started to morph. To you wanted something a little else. Do you remember the conversations? Yeah, we had conversations for a couple months, I think.
Yeah, one of the things happened, and I think so. I was growing through this whole process. And what I thought about was when I started in real estate, there were people that I liked and were colleagues of mine, and they helped me along the way. They looked at me like I look at now I look at people, my people I coach and mentor. They looked at me as a kindergartner. Kindergartners are sponges. They want to learn. They want to learn everything all at once. And that's how I was. And so I got involved in NSBAR by someone asking me to become involved. And I kept on telling them I was doing real estate. I had no idea what I was doing. I was learning along the way. But he kept on saying to me, yeah, but you're the perfect person that we want you to come here to. You have life experience. You have all this other stuff. And what I found out by doing that, even though I would have never used this word ever, but now I will. I was a leader. I was really leading people. And it's not about me, never has been about me. It's about everybody else. It's about you getting information, you learning something, and that's the conversation that Deborah and I had. So I decided at this point, I needed to leave my brokerage. I talked to my brokerage about doing things. They weren't interested. That was fine. I went looking elsewhere. And I sort of fell into what I was doing. Deborah gave me a great contact of someone who probably, had I not done what I'm doing now, I probably would be working with this person forever because they were great. But, your life goes different ways.
All right, but now we need to talk about what it is exactly that you're doing.
So I have an unusual life. My life is I sell real estate. I help buyers and sellers and investors and renters, and I do that like everyone else. But I also coach and mentor newer agents or people newer in the business. Not so much new per se, because there's people in my office that have been there for 7-8 years and they were doing it on the side and they still don't understand what's going on. And I try to show them how to get business and what to do and and the thing that makes me different than you going to a trainer or going to a coach is that I talk to you on your level. So I want to know about your life experiences because often your life experiences are going to help you along the way differently than you would have ever thought it was. So that's what I do. So I, schedule-wise, Monday and Tuesdays are my coaching days. I just started this yesterday, or I started last Wednesday. I started taking a product that we have, a transaction management system that we have, like DocuSign, Dotloop, SkyScope, whatever. And I'm showing newer agents how to put their stuff in that system and send it out, and what they need for the company, what they need for the MLS, and just talk about that. And part of the reason, there is a selfish part about that, 2 parts. One is I tell people when I first meet them, here's my card. This is a card you should keep. You can call me anytime. Unless I'm doing something that's really not even family. Well, some things. Unless I'm doing things that are really, for me personally. So if you call me on a Sunday night when I'm playing poker, I ain't going to answer the phone. I'm just telling you. If I'm sitting, but the other extreme on that is you call me on a Thursday night and I'm eating dinner and my phone rings. I will tell my wife, I have to take this. Now, wait a minute. Before you freak out, I have the other side of it. My wife does the same thing.
Okay.
And the reason my wife is in the helping profession, she's a social worker. She does groups, and she deals with, right now she's dealing with a lot of grief groups. People need to talk to somebody, and when they need to talk to someone, they need to talk to them now. That's what I believe agents need to do. When agents have a problem, they need to talk to you now. It won't wait 2-3 hours. It is because it's on their mind and it's going to drive them crazy. And sometimes it's just for them to just say, I got a question I need to now. And I have done this at a poker game. I have excused myself. I'm not playing this hand and called my person back to find out what their urgency, and it was urgent for them. And they just needed a friendly voice to tell them what's going on.
All right. I understand what the person who's calling you is getting out of this.
What am I getting out of it?
What are you getting out of this?
So that's interesting. I'm getting lots of things out of it. I'm getting more things than you know. The first thing I'm getting out of it is the satisfaction that I've helped someone and they are going to be a better realtor. They are going to be ethical. They're going to be professional. And what I want from them, I don't want any money from them. I don't want anything from any of them. What I want is them to do the same thing I'm doing sometime in their career. I want them to give back. Giving back is huge. If you don't give back, then you're just a curmudgeon and you just do whatever, and that's fine. But for me, it's giving back. It's all about giving back. Someone helped me along the way. I believe we all have to do the same thing.
Okay. So now on to something more practical. I'm a brand new agent. I don't know anything. Well, I do know all the rules because I went to real estate school and I learned what the rules and the regulations were, but I don't have any idea what on a daily basis I might do. So now I am sitting in front of you saying, well, here I am. And I've been in the office for 2 months and I've been looking around and no one comes into the office much. And I'm wondering what it is I'm supposed to be doing to generate business because so far no one's called me. What should I be doing now?
So if you were my student or at that point and I was mentoring you, I have a unusual way of doing things. I have 3 basic things that you have to do the first time I meet with you. And I don't want answers I don't want answers today.
Okay.
I want answers next week or whenever we meet. The first thing is I want you to sit there and think about you as a person. I want you to sit down and write your strengths down. What you think about you. What are your strengths as a person?
Okay. I can do that.
Can you do weaknesses? Can you tell me all about your weaknesses and be honest about it?
Probably better than telling you my strengths.
But there are a lot of other people, I will tell you, that can tell me their strengths and can't tell me any of their weaknesses. They don't think they have any weaknesses at all.
Okay, so now you know you've got a problem there then.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
And the third thing is I want you to think about who you know. I want you to really sit down and think about all the people you know, all the people that have come through your life and look at it. I want you to write them down on a piece of paper or type them, and I will guarantee that everyone here has a smartphone. I will guarantee that you have numbers in your phones and names of the people in your phone, and that's a great way to start. And you're going to, they're not going to buy or sell. I don't care about buying or selling. That is really not your primary purpose in life at this point. Your primary purpose in life is to try to put together a list of people. We call it databases. You'll hear coaches say, these are your sphere of influences. I don't care about that. I just really want you to have a list of people. I then want you to, once you have a list, and many people will say, I don't know anybody. And I will say, I bet you do. No, I don't know anybody. Okay. How'd you get here today? I drove. Why did you pick this office? Oh, I like the color of the, whatever. Did you meet with somebody? Yeah, well, I met with a few people actually. Obviously, you know them. Write them down. I don't care if they're going to be your clients or not, but just write them down. And once you start thinking about that, so I have a dentist, I have a doctor. They're not going to be my clients probably, but they may, I don't know. I write them down. I go to a cleaner's, I write the cleaners down. I go to the grocery store, and most times I would not tell you I go to the grocery store and I know the people's names. But earlier in my life, I went to a grocery store and I had this one checker. I knew everything about her. And I ended up, and I was not a realtor at the time, but I ended up helping her do other things because I knew her.
All right, I'm going to stop you there a minute because this goes back to your got a guy part of your life as well. Because before you were a realtor, before there was anything in it, you were helping her. In it for you, you were helping her.
Right.
So that's another, the practical is write a list of all the people you know, but there's like a parallel thing that you're talking to people out about as well, which is do it because it's a good thing to do.
Well, you get satisfaction out of that. And to answer your got a guy type thing, it's all about relationships. It always has been. So as a banker, it was all about my relationships. I never called it relationships. They were all clients, but it was all about, and I put clients together and never even thought about why I was doing it. It was just what I was doing. That's what I thought was the right thing to do. And the reason I thought that was because that's how I was brought up. My father did that. My father had the quote unquote got a guy type thing. But even though he didn't call it got a guy.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So back to, so now I'm brand new. So now I have a list of 50 people.
Okay.
Now what?
I want you to categorize them, but I gave that sheet out, but I'm going to tell you what I wrote it, but I disagree with it in one part. In there, it's going to tell you about building a database and looking at the people and etc. I'm going to tell you that they're asking. We say to categorize people in A, B, C, D. Basically, A is someone that's going to. They're your biggest advocate. They're going to sing praises of you all the time. These are people that would sing praises about you if they knew enough to think about it. C's are people that are newer in your database, etc. And D's are people in your database as well. And all the experts say D's you shouldn't waste your time on D's, you should delete them. I disagree. And my reason for disagreeing with that is it took me some time to get your name in there. Get your name in my phone. There was a reason why I put it there. There's some sort of relationship that is there. Maybe it was me. Maybe it wasn't them. It probably was me. Maybe I should now reach out to them and try to bring them along to a C rather than say, I'm done with them. That's crazy. So the more people you have in your database, the more potential you have. Doesn't mean you're going to be successful with it, but the more potential. Your database itself is your central nervous system. It operates you. And you can be very busy with just those people. So if you have 50 people, you could be very busy with those 50 people.
Doing what?
Well, let's say I could call each person if I decided that I'm going to work Monday through Friday and build relationships, I'm going to call each one of them at least once a day. I'm going to call one person a day. We'll go that way.
Okay. And what are you going to talk to them about?
Them. You're not going to talk to them about real estate. They know you're a realtor if you've told them once. I want you to talk about them. How is your husband doing? I know he had surgery. How are your children dealing with this? How's the animals dealing about this? I bet you the animals are not happy about that because he took care of them and walked them and now they're slumping around.
Now they're kind of crabby. Yes.
That's right.
That's right.
I'm building the relationship with you. I'm not talking about real estate. I don't care about real estate.
Okay.
I'm just talking about you and I want to deepen our relationship. And I tell my neighbors, because people say, well, how are you getting business? And I go, I'm going to tell you, here's the secret sauce. I tell my neighbors this. I don't want you to move. I want you to stay where you are. I'm here. I want you to stay. You're a realtor. Why don't you want me to? Because if you're happy in your home, I want you to stay there. I just got to know you. I'm getting to know you better. I like that relationship. I'm building it. However, I bet you know a bunch of people that are thinking about buying or selling. If you just give them my name, the relationship that we have right now and how I'm treating you, if you like it, I'm going to be like that with them. And I'm going to build a relationship with them. And they're going to refer me. You're going to refer me. They're going to refer me. I don't need to get leads from anybody else. It's just about talking and meeting and doing networking and doing all that stuff.
I'm going to say that I'm going to assume, and I could be wrong about this, that you're a natural at this. You talked about your dad was a guy. You are that man who is really interested in everyone that you meet and likes to know them. But I'm not. I'm far more introverted, and I'm far more, isn't there a business, isn't there some shortcut to this that I don't have to?
There is not a shortcut. And even introverts become extroverts if they work at it. So I know you're not, this is something you don't know about me.
Okay.
Nobody here knows about this, but I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
You would never believe in a zillion years that I was a shy guy.
Yes, I would.
Okay.
I would.
I was in high school, I knew a few people. I was sort of scared of my shadow. I was really much more introverted, and I decided that I couldn't be that way because my family wasn't like that. My sister drives me crazy because my sister, whomever I see, customer, whatever, my sister wants to know who it is because I may know them. And it drives me crazy because my sister knows a lot of people, but she doesn't know everybody, but she thinks she does. And I know that. And so I said, oh, I saw this person. I know them. What do you mean? I just said I saw that person. I know them. And then she goes through this whole long story, and she sort of knows who they are, so she does know them, but I had to listen to like 2 hours of conversation about how she knows them, which I don't really care about. But that's
fair enough.
But I was shy. So I was shy, and I went to college, and I decided I'm taking my shy suit off. I am going to be Joe Campus. I am going to know everybody. And I pushed myself out of my shell, and I met a ton of people, some good, some bad. I did things that were stupid, but, like we all do. But the bottom line was I did that, and that's really how I got out of my shell and just met a ton of people, went through, did a million things, and which is really, actually, as I'm thinking about it, is probably more about me now, because I was telling this to two of the staff people today, Deborah and someone else, that yesterday I was at a training session for Illinois Realtors, and then in the afternoon I came back to my office to teach a class about doing that project of we use .loop and going through that whole thing. I'm putting a listing presentation in there, and one of the people said to me that, you got to be the busiest person I know. You just are busy all the time. And I realized that happened when I started college, that I started that mantra of, I believe if you want something done, ask a busy person. They will get it done. Now, I have a caveat to that, and if you're a millennial, I apologize, but millennials in general, I can't get it. I can do it, and I can do the work. I just can't get it done on their time frame because they want it instantaneous. I can't do it. I need to research it. I need to massage it. I need to look at everything before I come up with an answer. That's just how my brain thinks, and that's how I do things.
I'm going to share a little bit, and I didn't announce you that Joel is a past president here at NSBAR. We have an incoming president that we did an interview with this was. And one of the things Luigi talked about as he was presenting kind of how he grew his business is he decided that the things he liked to do, he was just going to do more of them. So if he liked to cycle, well, he was going to start a group of people who liked to cycle. And he wasn't hustling them for business necessarily, but he was getting known in the group of people who like to cycle. He had a boat, and so he liked all the boating people. He also made his house, and I saw my son-in-law do this as well, who's a commercial broker, kind of the hub of all the fun that happened. And I don't know that you've done I always think of your house as your refuge house. It's quieter at your house. But he had
Sometimes.
But he also went out into the community and sort of gathered around people that he would know and he would like. But he was very clear about the fact that he did it doing things that he liked. He didn't just pick random people. He made a boating group. He made this kind of group. He made all these different groups where he got well known. And again, did not say, oh, please give me your real estate business over and over again. But by the time that they knew him, and he organized them, he did a lot of the work of these groups.
He did a lot of the work, yes.
He did a lot of the work. They started to come to him then. So I think you're doing much the same thing. What you're suggesting to people is a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. It's not, real estate itself is not easy. It's very rewarding, but it's not easy. It can be easy.
Sometimes,
if you enjoy what you do and you think about what you're enjoying.
Mm-hmm.
But there are times it's not easy. There are times you feel like you asked me a question about an aha moment, and this is an aha moment I had when, I believed I was successful. It was one year I decided I had a bunch of clients that I was helping, and it's all about the client. It's not about me, but I try to tie them into a situation. So if I'm dealing with buyers and buyers want to close on such and such day, I try to not have, which is crazy, but I try not to have a buyer or a seller close around that same time. Because I want to give my all to them, to this one group and whatever it is. And so I did all that, and I had an unbelievable first half of the year. By the end of, or by the middle of June, I had everything done. I had a nice income at that point, and if nothing happened at all, and I had no business, it would have been an okay year. Saying that, I wasn't satisfied with that, but I didn't have any clients. Everyone I worked on was done, and I kept on networking. But I didn't have anybody. And I saw a colleague of mine, and I said, I'm thinking of getting out of the business. And they're like, why? I go, well, I have no business. I have nothing. I have nothing in the pipeline, nothing going on, just nothing. And they said, okay, are you done ranting? And I go, well, yeah, I am. She goes, now let's look at the problem. Forget what you had. Tell me about the year before or the year before that. Tell me your activities that you were doing. And I went through all this, what I was doing. And they said, well, what did you do specifically? And I said, well, I wrote down in my business plan, I wrote down the type of clients I was going to help. I was going to help anybody who wanted their help, who needed help. It wasn't about money. It never has been about money. If you had a renter and they needed help, I was here. I'm not too big to take care of a renter. I'm going to help them. So I went through this whole thing, and she said to me, so Are you doing rentals? No, I've been so busy. Who's had time to do rentals? She goes, but you said you were going to do rentals. Yeah, I did, but I was too busy. And she goes, yeah, I need you to get back to what you started to do. I need you to look at your plan, and I need you to go back to it and really work on it, and really stay. And that is really your guidebook of what you're going to do. At that point, that was an aha moment, and that aha moment got me back to being grounded and back to what I was doing and what I did well. So
that's a great mentor that you ran into, and
that was not a mentor. That was just it wasn't. I respect.
It wasn't an official.
I respect this person. This person is a extremely successful realtor in a certain marketplace. She's unbelievable. But she was my mentor at that moment. Of getting me back to where I needed to be.
Joel, that's something else that I think about often, and I have a feeling this happens to you more than you know. I had one years and years ago. It stays so clearly in my mind that someone was sitting there complaining about how this was happening and she couldn't control this and all of these things carrying on. And I said, I'm not really sure when you became God of the universe who could control all this stuff. And we kind of went on from there, and she called me a week later and said, I guess I'm really not. That's what you told me has made me change the course of what I'm doing with that. Now, I was just spouting off. So that's the other kind of thing. You keep putting stuff out into the universe, you never know where it's going to land. So you have to kind of keep doing it over and over again without worrying about where it lands, assuming it will land well.
That is true.
Yes.
The one thing that I would say that I've been doing probably for 50 years. I never really thought about it, but now as you look at your life, you think about this. I have a goal in life. I have a goal for every day. My goal for every day is to learn something new every day, whatever it is. And it doesn't have to be something huge. It could be, so yesterday I was at this training, and I was in Lombard. And, it's off the highway. I didn't really look at anything. I was trying to get to my place that I had to be. But my aha moment initially was, oh, what a weird place to put a Chick-fil-A. It was like behind the building that nobody could see, but that Chick-fil-A was packed. And I didn't really see the Chick-fil-A initially. But when I went out to put my permanent coffee cup in my car so I wouldn't forget it and then go back, that's when I saw the Chick-fil-A. And I was like, what a weird place to put it. And I go, oh, that's interesting. Now, I did learn something else that day in that class. But the bottom line is just one thing. I don't care what it is. It could be, oh, guess what? New restaurants going in over here.
So you're not talking about big, enormous.
I'm not talking about
eternal truths. You're talking about
just anything that, because what happens is in my brain, and that's how I think about it, is someone calls me about something and they go, I have this meeting in Oak Brook. I really wish there was a place that I can get a chicken sandwich. We go, there's a Chick-fil-A right here. Because now I know that, but not because I've been there. It's just because I've seen it.
I'll tell you another thing about Lombard. Lombard has an absolutely, right around Mother's Day, they have what they call the Lilac Park. And the entire block, probably 2 blocks area, is just filled with lilacs. When my mother was still moving better, we would always, that was our Mother's Day deal. You would go to the Lilac Park. It was just being surrounded by this lovely fragrance. So now I touch on something else about that.
That's right. I'll have to look for it.
Well, yeah, it's a lot of people get married there. I mean, it's a lovely venue. I'm going to turn more practical now. There are some things for a new realtor that they have to be alert to. And I found it when I managed an office, sometimes I think in their eyes, the voice of gloom and doom. Because when you came to me and said, I want to be a realtor, I'd say, well, let's have a conversation about some really serious things. And one of them was money.
Yeah, so I will, because, again, I apologize, because I was a banker, money's on my brain. There are two things that are on my brain all the time. Money is one, not needing more, needing less, not that, but how to deal with your money. And the other thing, which is partly because I was a banker, is, and there is gloom and doom on this, I go into a property and I crunch numbers. So I walk into a property, no matter what it is, and I look at things and go, yeah, it needs a new kitchen. Oh, it needs a new bathroom. And I'm crunching numbers in my head to think if it's going to be a good financial decision for the buyer.
Do you share all that with the buyer?
I do. Because we have a relationship, it's not just about a transaction, it's more about a relationship. I do share as much as I can. I tell them what I'm thinking. They don't have to listen to me.
Okay.
They don't have to take my opinion, but I need to share it.
Okay.
But now with your bank, so now with the numbers, so when I meet with someone, I tell them, you need to have, I'm sorry, but you need to have this. You need to have at least 6 months. The financial wellness from NAR will tell you need 3 to 6 months. I will tell you they're incorrect. You need at least 6 months of reserves. Enough money to get by, because you don't become a realtor one day and go, I'm a realtor, I'm going to have a client today, because that doesn't happen. It has happened to some, but it doesn't happen. And even with me, when I started, my first transaction was I helped this guy. I met him at an open house. He looked at this. The first place we went out to see was the place he bought. But it took a while to get there. And he ended up buying it probably 3 months after we first saw it.
And then closed 45 days. So it was 5 months before.
And closed actually 60 days. So It was a 5-month process. And, it was, I had money on the side. Now, because I had money on the side, I wasn't worried about it, but most people don't. And most people, and I'm going to use an example, there was this guy that was in my office who was really a very nice man. He was helpful, he was funny, would give the shirt off his back. And I had this conversation, and I said, you need to have 6 months of reserves. Do you have it? I do. We talked a little bit more. I got to go back to this. Do you really have 6 months back? I'm not looking into your finances. I just want to know, because you're not going to get a client right away. And through this whole conversation, he goes, I understand what you're telling me, but I'm going to tell you, I'm different.
Oh.
And I'm going to say, I'm going to promise you, you're not different. I've heard I'm different from probably thousands of people, and most of them are not realtors today. So you could be different, but you still need the money on the side, the background. The other thing I'm going to tell you is, this is how this originally started with this, when I was going to do this, was about banking. You need to, whatever, I don't care where you get the money, you need to take money, you need to go to the bank. You need to open up a checking account in your name, and I'm going to tell you, you need to open up a savings account in your name. You could put your spouse's name on the account for insurance and all that, but you need to have it separate. this is your business account. This is your business savings account. And the reason these are the two accounts you need to have. And the reason you need to have it is agents get their first commission check. It is a huge, huge, huge exciting time. However, most of them see this money and it may be $10,000, $5,000. I'm going out and I'm buying, I'm going to do whatever. And guess what? You didn't pay. I'm not saying you're going to pay taxes, but you didn't pay taxes on it. And you're not covering your cost in your business. You need to keep it separate. You need to put, my formula is different than their formula. My formula their formula says that you should put 30 to 50% into another account for taxes and for savings per se. I think that's an overkill. That's great. That's very conservative. My formula is more like 30%. When you're a new realtor, if you had another life, if you are brand new and you're a brand new realtor and you just came out of high school and you got a license, chances are you are going to pay taxes if you're successful and you have transactions, but you're not going to pay a lot of taxes. So putting 30% in an account for taxes is probably an overkill. However, I say that's also my savings account or my reserve account. It's all built in one. Other people will say, I had a client that did this. Every check he ever got, he would literally go to the bank and cash that check and ask for money in all different denominations. And he would go on his bed and sit on his bed and have all this money in front of him and would go, okay, I need X amount of dollars to live off of, and that would go in his checking account. I need X amount of dollars. I'm going on a vacation. That goes in my vacation account. I need money for taxes. That goes in my tax account. I need money to, I'm planning on redoing my kitchen. That would go in that account. And he'd have accounts everywhere, and that's how he lived his life. That's great if you can do that, but back to my thing, you need at least two accounts. Two accounts is easier.
There's a big, some of my realtor friends have been to the seminars. I think it's called the 7 envelopes, and it's the same sort of deal. There are 7 things you're going to pay for, so you allot your money that way. What you've been talking about, so you understand, this is the National Association of Realtors did a very good program called Financial Wellness Roadmap. Some of the, I always like the NAR programs, but this is one that is just stellar. I would advise anybody who's coming into real estate, I would advise people who are midway in their career in real estate to sit down and go through this, because it's just, unfortunately, and this is one of my things, unfortunately, too many people, when they go to retire after having spent 25 years in real estate, they go home. They don't have a retirement. They haven't planned for their retirement. They don't have any resources. They can never sell the book of business they've created. They just go home. And I think that's just such a shame. You are entrepreneurs. If you're going to build a business, one of the key things you should be considering in a business is, what's the intrinsic value of the business? And too many realtors still go through life looking at this as, I've got a job, I'm a realtor, that's my job. No, that's not your job. Your job is to run your real estate business. It's a really big mind shift.
It is a mind shift. I think the hardest thing for me when I got into real estate was not knowing that I was not getting a check. Not knowing that I would go months without seeing any financial. Yes. Because when you're a W-2 employee, depending on how they pay you,
You get paid.
it could be once a month, it could be every 2 weeks, it could be, bi-monthly, whatever. You're getting this money. But as a realtor, you don't get a lot of money. You don't get a lot of money initially. So
I am going to talk a little bit, and then I'll open this for questions, Joel. I am going to say that good realtors figure out, how can I say this? If you track your numbers, if you know what you do to get what you want, and it takes a while. This doesn't happen overnight. This is not a 1 month deal. You have to track your numbers hard for about 2 years, I think, almost. But at some point, your numbers will, if you will learn that, if I make 10 phone calls, I get 1 transaction. And I'm making up stuff. If I make 10 phone calls, I get 10 transactions. I might not get them out of that 10, but I'll get 2 out of the next 10 that I do to make the averages. You learn what your averages are and what you need to do in order to generate business. And that's the moment when your life becomes, you can breathe a sigh of relief, because your income becomes, you realize your income is under your control. It's not always a perfect system, but it's the idea of I have to do this in order to get this, to make this happen. Sometimes it takes 3 months to make that average. But on the whole, if I do this, it has to come to this.
it does. And I think that for me, I have these averages, I know these averages, but I know what the experts say my averages should be. Mine do not follow those averages because I have a different mindset. My mindset is, and I'll give you an example briefly. I helped a buyer make an offer on an apartment or a condo, and our bid was accepted. We did an inspection. We went through the inspection report. We talked to our attorney. We asked for money. We now renegotiated this thing again because we were looking for credit. Then we were looking to make some changes and whatever. And ultimately, we're fine at this point. I'm still involved in this transaction. I'm involved, but it's not a transaction. I'm involved in my client's life. I'm now, I recommended movers to her. I've recommended, I gave her a whole series of movers to talk to. I recommended places to store her property. I recommended, this person's possibly leaving to go out of the country before her place is ready for us to close on. However, she has a problem. She has a cat. She's looking for a home for the cat. I'm talking to people I know who would like to have a cat, potentially. And I talk to them. I talk to this person while we're involved in the transaction or the beginning part. I probably talk to this person on average 2 to 3 times a week, just to check in. Make sure that they don't have any problems. They need to buy insurance. I gave them a referral of an insurance person who will give them a number of different options. And it's my way of just continuing building the relationship. And that's just what I do. Now, when the transaction's over, I'm still talking to this person. It's not like it's a one and done. I need to deepen the relationship. For me, not for her. I need to just keep on going and pushing and trying to keep it, because even though I don't really expect them per se to give me business or for them to refer someone to me, they may. I never know. And that's my life.
Okay. Thank you, Joe.